Hello and welcome to Around the Scene, presented to you by Playing with Rockets. I'm your host, Ryan, and joining me, as always, is Daddy Perino. How are you doing today, man?
I am doing wonderful. Thank you for asking, Ryan. It's been a bit of a long day for me. You know, had to rush to get ready to record the show today, and that's not always the best, but I feel like it's like pressure makes diamonds. You know, when you're I feel like it's when I'm at my best, is when I'm tired and worn out and exhausted. That's when I really can find that, dig deep, that reserve.
Is this what you tell yourself whenever you're just like really tired and you have to do?
Yeah, it's what I tell myself before I find caffeine to put in my system. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
I was sitting here. I was like, man, he's got some mental fortitude. I can't do that.
It's more like if
I
you
say I'm done.
It's like if you could speak it into existence, right? Just if you believe the lie yourself, it becomes truth.
Yeah, just lie to yourself enough and you're good to go.
Basically.
Feel that. But
yeah.
Guys, new episodes for the show drop every single Thursday. We typically do our recordings every Tuesday. Today we had to, push things up a little bit, so we're recording on Wednesday the 18th instead. So you guys are going to get all this tomorrow. Going back to our old ways where we record, cut, edit, do everything, and then push it out the next day. But that's kind of the freedom that we have in being able to do the process this way. So with that said, though, be sure to go subscribe, follow, do all those things on your podcast service of choice, wherever you may be listening to us. And also be sure to go do that over on YouTube and our Twitch. Again, our Twitch, we'll eventually be doing some special episodes and stuff with it, but at the moment we're still kind of like trying to get through some of the stuff we're still working on. Me still waiting for a kid to be born, so until after that happens, I don't know that I'm really trying to go and do any stuff like that, because I don't want to have to cancel on someone last minute or anything, and force Perino to do it alone.
Yeah, I know. See, Ryan gives me this moniker of Daddy Perino, and he's the one with an actual child, coming along very, very soon here. So,
that's just what you always been.
I know, but it's just funny to me because I'm not the father. You are.
Let me let you guys in on a little secret. Whenever we first started doing the show, and the first time that I brought Perino on, he asked me to introduce himself as Daddy Perino, and I said I'll do it. He didn't think I would, and now it's the permanent thing.
Why you gotta expose a man like this? We're supposed to sit here and record for another hour, and you're gonna press my buttons right at the start of the show.
Shots fired early on. That's how we start the show.
Man, I just like it when they call me Daddy. Okay, man.
I'll just blame my whiskey and we'll move on.
Sounds good.
But guys, today we have a massive 2 items for like the 4th week in a row, because for some reason we only get 2 items every week. But you ready to jump on in, man?
Oh yeah, let's do it.
All right, so first up, the Salt Mine Atlantic draft. The teams and the matchups have been decided. For those of you who missed last episode, we did discuss it. That's when it was first announced by Johnnyboi. We had no real information as to what was happening with it, but turns out they did a draft with several different personalities, such as Cole, Shogun, Johnnyboi, Jesse, Rasmelthor, Smellsworth. Those are all the EU coaches. And then for the North American coaches, it was Dazarin, T-Bates, Roldiz, Rizzo, Athena, and Sizz. So those are the coaches. They then got the draft from all the pro players available to them. The EU coaches drafted EU players. North American coaches drafted only North American players. And essentially, every single matchup is North America versus EU. So definitely interesting stuff there, Perino. But let's go ahead. I'm going to show you guys, kind of what it looks like. I know you can't see the full EU side. I apologize. I'll make sure to fix the screen share next time. But I'll run through EU, Perino, and then you'll run through North America. Does that sound good? And we'll discuss.
Yeah, it's just funny to me because our audio listeners are like, see what now?
Yeah, I apologize. This episode is going to be a lot more visual, I would say, than normal. I apologize to you guys who listen on podcast services. We'll do our best to radio this to you guys very clearly, but it's just a lot to memorize if you're not able to look at a screen. So sorry about that. That's how the news goes. I can't really change that.
Yeah, there's only so much you can do.
But so for the EU side, Team Cole is going to be Archie, Mark by 8, and Ixo. Team Shogun is going to be Fairy Peak, Noli, and Devo. Johnnyboi is going to have Monkey Moon, Casio, Exotic, and Acronic. Team Jesse has Astral, Itachi, Stake, and Yukio. Rasmal Thor has Tox, Cataclysm, and Atomic. How many Atomics do we have? Or wait, no, that's a chronic exotic. We just have a lot of ticks at the for some reason.
And they all use the capitalized K at the end. It's also
I don't
really
like
odd.
it. It's so painful to look at. And then Team Smellsworth is Extra, Jorus, Cash, and CRR, which isn't a player I'm familiar with. But I'm not sure why some teams have 4 players, some have 3. Just kind of how it seems it worked out.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's just because of the number of signups. You know, they probably only had so many teams. You know, this was an event where, you know, pros are volunteering to play in this, so it's probably just turnout based. So I don't know.
Yeah, well, you can introduce our North American teams now.
Yes, we will go through the much easier names. Thank you, Ryan, for giving me that gift. As we are leading off with Team Dazarin, it is Mist, Torment, and Turinturo. Team T-Bates will consist of Beast Mode, Shock, Sosa, and Alpha Kep. Team Roldiz will have First Killer, Memory, and Illusion. Team Rizzo will have Garrett G, Gyro, Rapid, and Gimmick. Team Athena will have Turbo Pulsa, Arsenal, LJ. And last but not least, Team Sizz will have AJ, Atomic, Magic Bear, T. Corel. So there are some loaded teams in here.
Oh, for sure. But for the most part, it does feel like it's all somewhat balanced, though, I will say.
Oh yeah, no question. And you know, when you look at the talent distribution, you know, obviously it's separated by region, right? So you're not having inter-regional teams. The whole point, again, for those who can't see, the whole point is that the EU teams are going to square off against the North American teams, like exclusively. Every single match that's being played is EU versus NA.
Yeah.
So that's a really cool dynamic, and I love that this is the way that Johnnyboi is doing it, because it's so much better than people just, you know, tossing in teams and players and whatnot. Like, this is a much more thorough method of, you know, doing the EU versus NA sort of thing.
Yeah, definitely a more thorough method, but I will say the original method was pretty damn funny.
Yeah, it was funny, but it wasn't effective. So, you know,
now
we're going for effect.
It definitely wasn't effective, but oh my gosh, some of the stuff that came out of that was hilarious. I do think it's interesting, though. For those of you who are interested in tuning in, it's going to be on August 20th and August 21st. So what it appears they're going to be doing is they're going to do it to where they're all on EU servers one day, all on North American servers the next day, or vice versa. Based on what I'm looking at, it looks like it'll be EU on the 20th and then North America on the 21st is how they'll be handling the server condition, which I think is exciting, because then you get to have like a good idea of how they kind of play off against each other. I'm not sure if that means that you're going to see them play the same team twice, though, or if it's just a round robin. So that means like you might play, Team Cole on EU servers, but then you never play them again. So that's interesting.
Correct, yes. So there are 6 teams from each region. Every team will play one of the 6 teams.
Mm-hmm. It's a round
from the
robin,
opposite region.
Like. Yeah.
Once. Right. So you will have 6 games total, one against every team of the opposing region. So, yeah, I mean, it actually looks like a ton of fun. It's really unfortunate that I'm going to be busy this weekend and I will not be able to watch. So you'll have to educate me, Ryan, on how this ends up going. But I think this is a tremendous event, and I think it's actually going to be really, really huge on Twitch, with the amount of people watching. Like, this is just a great way of settling this debate.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too is each of these streamers have their own channels too, so it's really good for them because they get to, be the broadcaster for their team essentially. So that'll be a pretty cool piece to the puzzle. And then kind of curious how they decide, how some of these guys are going to decide to work in that fourth player because I mean, like you and me were talking a little bit beforehand. Team Sizz looks pretty solid, all things considered. AJ, Atomic, Magic Bear, and T. Carell. I mean, that's a pretty solid roster, honestly.
Right, and you feel like with that one, you're never going to sit AJ and you're never going to sit Atomic. So then, like, with your Magic Bear or T. Corral, you just sort of battle it out for who gets that last spot. How do you handle that?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm glad it's not me making the decisions because I would not want to, step in the way of some of the ego that I'm sure you're going to get a taste
Sizz is
of
the
in this
captain,
event.
so it's
Right.
It's fine. I'm sure he can handle ego. He's got an ego himself.
Just a little bit. Did I tell you when Sizz flamed me when I was doing the Team Envy Predator Cup broadcast?
No.
So, during one of the matches, they had like a listen in feature where we were able to like listen in on the comms. So Sizz and Fireburner playing together. The 2v2 event, and we were just listening in to them, and I wasn't saying anything because we were doing their audio, and then it cut back to us on the desk, and I made some sort of offhand comment like that's like a classic like Sizz and Fireburner YouTube video like in the making, because they were like they were calming like in their style,
Yeah.
If anybody's listened to them, they'll know exactly what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
Right, and then. The thing was, we could still hear them. So even though the stream couldn't hear it or anyone else couldn't, for whatever reason on the desk, we could still hear them. And the moment after I said that, he made some comment, like he like mocked what I said. He was like, "Oh, they're doing some classic YouTube commentary," and I was like, "Wait a minute! Like, first of all, why are you listening? Secondly, like, damn, bro, I almost wanted to cut back in. See, it's unfortunate that I don't have an ego because I definitely would have said something like, "Oh no." Get me back in there. I want to talk to this young man." But it was really funny. And then the worst part about it was that he released the YouTube video and then he cut that part out. So that I was trying to tell people.
So
I was
you
so
were
excited.
right.
I was so excited to tell people that I got flamed by Sizz, and I was like, listen, like the stream didn't catch it, but I'm sure he's making the YouTube video, and like we'll be able to listen to it then. And then I watched the YouTube video, and they cut that part out, probably because they didn't want to just flame me for no reason, which is reasonable.
That's
like I get
so
it, but
funny though that you called it. That it's a YouTube video.
Well, of course it was. I mean, that's it was a content sort of event.
That's
but
so funny.
I was just so upset because then he actually cut out the relevant part, and it's just like, really, It was really funny. Like, in fairness, like I don't really care. It's not really that big of a deal to me. It was really funny, but I just have no evidence of it other than the fact that I heard it.
So
anyway,
back.
Sorry,
back
that was
to
kind of
this.
a tangent.
I liked that though. That was funny. I didn't know that actually. Man, there's so many
nobody knew it because they cut it out.
That's fair. Oh my god. But looking at all these teams, if you had to pick like your top 3, or let's do top 2 from each region. How about that?
Okay, I like that.
So who's your top 2 for EU?
Top 2 for EU. As I take a look at it, Okay, so Team Johnnyboi stands out to me. That's Monkey Moon, Casio, Exotic, and Acronic. That team's kind of cracked, is what they are. That's one where legitimately I don't know who starts. My guess is Casio or Exotic sits. I think you have to start Monkey Moon and Acronic in that lineup, but that's just me. That's a really strong team. That one stands out. Otherwise, from EU, I like Team Cole as well. This is Archie, Mark by 8, and Ixo.
Yeah.
I think that's just a really balanced squad. And I think they'll probably do really well. For the North American side,
Well,
not
here.
quite.
I'll do my EU, and then you'll.
Okay,
then we'll
sure,
do
sure,
North
that
America.
works. So yeah, I'm going Team Johnny and Team Cole for the strong two.
I'm with you on Team Johnny, just because that's all French, basically, and a chronic. That's a cracked roster, honestly, in my opinion. So I think I'm going to go with them as well. I think they're probably my top one. After them, Cole's good, but I think I like Shogun's squad better. Devo, Noli, and Fairy Peak. That feels like a really solid roster, in my opinion. And
Yeah, I like that.
I think that, like, Fairy Peak is a good kind of lead for that roster, and I feel like Noli and Devo will do well with him. So that's my pick there. So I think Johnnyboi, Shogun. You think Johnnyboi and Cole. At least we, agree on Johnnyboi here.
Yeah. Also, shout out, I think, Team Jesse, too. That's Astral, Itachi, Steak, and Yukio could also be really good. They were my honorable mention.
Oh, yeah. That's a good roster as well. I still think I'd stick with Shogun, though.
Yeah.
All right, so now your North American teams.
Yeah, this is where it gets difficult.
Because we know these guys.
Well, I mean, I know the EU players as well, but I know the NA players much more, so it's kind of the opposite problem, where you almost have too much info, too much of an opinion. Well, I think Team Rizzo is really good. Garrett G, Gyro, Rapid, and Gimmick. Very, very balanced squad. I'm guessing it's going to be Garrett and Rapid and then Gyro Gimmick, depending.
Yeah.
But that one's really good to me. I think Team Sizz is one to watch out for, too. That's AJ, Atomic, Magic Bear, T. Corel.
Yeah.
Those would be my first two. Although, well, no, because... Okay, but look at Team Roldiz with First Killer Memory and Illusion. Like,
it's so funny because it's just so much information. Like,
I know, it's really hard. I'm gonna say, I'm gonna go with Team Rizzo and Team Roldiz as my two.
For me, I have to give it to Team Sizz because that's just a strong roster. AJ, Atomic, Magic Bear, and T-Girl. That's just so strong. Like, even if you're like pitting it between Magic Bear and T-Girl as like who do you bench? Like, that still is crazy that you would think of benching either of them because they're both so good.
Yeah.
One I did want to take note of is T-Bait's squad of Beast Mode, Shock, and Sosa, and Alpha Cap. This feels like one of the weaker teams, in all honesty, but part of me also really wants to believe in my buddy T-Baits.
I mean, I like that one. I just don't know if they have enough offense.
Yeah,
really.
that's like my big thing. But I think also, though, like, they all are like close enough to the same level that it's balanced. It's not like you have a like mastermind player and then some, lesser, more average level RLCS players. Not that that's any knock on anybody, but it's like it just feels like it's a more balanced squad overall. And so part of me really wants to pick that because I love T-Baits and I want him to do well. But it's tough, man. Oh man, it's so tough because you look at also like Team Athena, that's Turbo, Arsenal, LJ. Arsenal is such a strong player from SSG. LJ, I think, is probably the best player off Oxygen. And then Turbo, of course, just position mastermind. Ugh. I'm gonna go with T-Baits. I'm gonna believe that he was on to something here. I think most people are willing to write off T-Baits whenever he does anything, but I feel like I always believe in T-Baits, and I want to give him the benefit of the doubt here. I feel like he's got a good squad. I'm gonna put faith in him. So I got Sizz and T-Baits.
Nice. Yeah, I think Dazzling seems maybe a little bit slept on. That's Mist, Torment, and Turanturo.
Yeah.
It's the same thing where, it's a very balanced roster. You don't have like one person who excels in one thing and one person who excels somewhere else. Like it's a very like balanced team. So if you're looking for that kind of team, I think especially against EU players, that team could actually do really well.
Yeah. Oh, well, we're going to have to wait and find out how it all pans out. Again, you can watch all this on August 20th and 21st. It looks like August 20th is going to be the EU servers. August 21st is going to be the North America servers. So if you're curious to see who is going to win it all, be sure, do the best here in this. I guess it's a round-robin stage. I'm not sure if it's, like, going beyond this or anything. Because I feel like a bracket would be tough, especially when you have to, like, choose, like, a continent for the server to be on. So I'm betting it might just be a round-robin type deal. And maybe they sole score later. I don't know. But for sure, 20th, 21st, you can go check that out. I believe you can just go check out the broadcast of whichever person whose team you want to win. So if you're for Team Cole, Shogun, Johnnyboi, Jesse, Rasmilthor, Smellsworth, Dazarin, T-Bates, Roldiz, Rizzo, Athena, or Sizz, just go tune into like their personal stream on betting, and you'll be able to keep up with how they're doing in the tournament and everything. But I do not have too much else to add to this one. Do you?
No, it kind of feels like a great thing where they do like a grid style where you have like one base channel to sort of cover all of the different games like in total, and then you have all the individual ones.
Yeah.
I don't know that they'll actually have like a grid overtime sort of channel going on, but that would be really cool for this.
Yeah,
it certainly helped me because I'm not going to be at home to watch them all.
Well, the thing is like it's Johnnyboi's tournament, but he's got a team, so you'd imagine he's probably following his team. So I doubt they'll do like an overtime channel type thing, honestly.
Maybe we'll have to host it on the Playing with Rockets Twitch channel. That'll be our first thing coming back. Is we'll do a grid overtime.
Yeah, let me just have all the assets put together by this weekend. It's not like we have full-time jobs or anything. It's not like you're about.
No. Not like you have a kid like coming very shortly on the way. It's fine.
All right, so we'll move on to our next topic, which is going to be the Search Rocket League tournament. So the finals, it looks like, are coming up this weekend. I don't know if it's the conclusion. I don't think they're concluding it this weekend, but it is like the beginning of the end for the whole tournament. So we'll be discussing round one and the quarterfinals. So this is all to lead up to who the top 4 teams are going to be. You and me will go ahead and make predictions as we go through this. So again, sorry, audio listeners. This is, like I said, it's going to be kind of a visual heavy one, but we'll go matchup by matchup, so you'll be able to kind of follow along with us. So we'll just kind of do this together. Does that sound good?
Sounds great.
Cool. So the first matchup there in round one is going to be Square One versus A Large Chicken. These rosters for Square One, again, it's Zenil, Karma, Heck. We already know this roster. It's a really solid lineup. They're going to be up against Itachi, Zlanup, and Yokes. Personally, I give this to Square One every day.
Yep. You would think that they should cruise through this one. I agree with you on that.
If they struggle in this matchup, gonna be tough for them later on. And these are all best of 7s for both the round one and the quarterfinal, and the final 4 are best of sets. So interesting way that they're doing it. I think that's the best way to find the most consistent team, at least.
Right.
As best as you can with this type of format. So for game 1, we predict Square One. Game 2 is going to be Jolly Roger Esports versus Zookeepers. Jolly Roger Esports consists of TKD, Blinksy, and Jarquin, and Zookeepers is Tool, Bambi, J-Bot. Again, this one feels like a no-brainer. I'm going Zookeepers.
Yep. I was about to say the same exact thing. I love the Zookeepers. They're an OG name. One of my favorite bubble teams. I'm going with them all the way.
Yeah. It feels silly to try and even pick against them, honestly. And then these next 2, I think, are going to be a little bit harder for us to pick. So it's going to be Team.exe versus Odyssey. Team.exe consists of Knight, Monster, and Stealth. And then Odyssey consists of Kronos, Rad Moves, and Herxy. This one a little bit tougher. I don't know too many of these players, honestly. I feel like Team.exe edges out here, though, because I believe I believe I remember watching Stealth, and he's a solid player, and as far as I remember.
Yeah, and likewise, I'm pretty sure the only player that I know out of this group is Kronos for Odyssey. So, yeah, tough one because I don't really know too much about either of these teams. So, coin flip it.
Sure thing. Coin flip.
Heads for EXE, tails for Odyssey. Here we go.
Heads. So Team.exe is who we are going to predict to go on through.
Congrats, well earned.
Yeah. This is what top tier analysts look like, guys.
You know, we're having fun with it.
And then the next matchup is going to be Frequency versus Catch 22. Frequency is Flitz RL, Shia, and Kiri, and then Catch 22 is Jacob, Perma, and Riker. I think Frequency's got this one.
Yeah, that's a pretty gnarly roster, I gotta say.
Yeah.
I've only ever seen a little bit of Kiri, but every single time I've been so impressed. So
Yeah.
I'd be hard pressed to pick against them.
So we'll predict Frequency to go on through to the quarterfinals. Moving on down to the lower bracket, or the bottom half of the bracket. Vibrance versus Isolated. These ones are going to be tough in this side, I will say that. I already did like kind of a preview beforehand, so I already kind of know what we're getting into. But Vibrance versus Isolated. Vibrance consists of Astro, Fefe, and Oath, and then Isolated consists of Silent Kai, Imdils, and Jinx. I mean, personally, Vibrance is who I give this one to.
I don't really know the players as much, although I do know of Oath and Astro, so I will go with your pick, Vibrance, as well.
Cool. And then underneath that, we have Board versus the Blues. Board, this is probably the hardest matchup for round one, honestly, to pick between. Board consists of Soul Flares, Nitrous, and Prime Thunder. The Blues consists of Crow, Shiny Wings, Cryptic, and Cam. This is a tough pick, personally.
Yeah, I know we talked about it during one of the weeks that I feel like we've talked about this every single week, but I know at one point we did talk about this board roster specifically with Prime Thunder, Nitrous, and Soul Flares. And again, haven't really watched them play. Definitely some older names with some recognition in the scene. I might actually pick with the experience here, believe it or not.
Really?
I don't know. Something about it. I just
There's a lot of name recognition on there, so I don't blame you.
Right, but even though I think the Blues might actually be better, that's not the point. I don't know.
Personally, I'm putting more stock in the Blues. Just every single time I've seen Board, they just don't do well. Every time I've seen him, I just don't feel like Prime Thunder is close to where he used to be.
That's probably fair.
I feel like he used to be at a much higher level, and it feels like ever since he had gotten dropped from, I think it was FlyQuest he was dropped from.
Yeah.
Since he got dropped from them, a couple seasons back, I just don't feel like he's been, up to par with a lot of these other guys. Whereas, you also have players like Crow, Shiny Wings, who is just a grinder. That guy just grinds day in and day out. That's all he does. And they're also, the Blues are also a CRL roster, so they have a lot of experience playing together as well.
Well,
so
I would be down to wrong button. I have a button on my controller for when I'm playing Rocket League in Discord. Yeah, and I accidentally kicked my controller and hit the button. So
you just leave your controller plugged in like a heathen?
What else am I gonna do with it?
You just leave it plugged in?
Is that bad?
Put it away. Keep your desk clean.
I mean, I have it. Okay, I'm not gonna throw my camera out to see it, but I have a little stand here near my desk where I put it. It's not on my desk. It's below, but I just accidentally I moved around a little bit and I kind of just touched it with my foot. I'm sorry.
It's disgusting. This man just leaves his controller plugged in like a heathen.
I didn't realize that was a.
I'm all about, like, if I'm not using it, take it out, put it away. So personally, I'm like, if I'm done, it's getting, it's going in the, the drawer where it belongs.
My room is an absolute mess. Please, I don't want to talk about it. Okay, it goes under there. It goes out of sight. It's not away, but it's close enough.
The
All right,
people
chill.
don't see it. Who cares?
Yeah, that's the secret. Don't ask me to like take a live picture of my desk right now.
Fine,
okay? It's not good.
Fine. I expect it on our Twitter later, though.
No, absolutely not.
It's worth
I
a
would
shot,
sooner
guys.
uninstall. I'd sooner uninstall.
Worth a shot, guys. I tried to, get some behind-the-scenes content for you, but whatever.
Nope.
Anyways, Board versus the Blues. Personally, I go for the Blues. I give it to them, and just like, the fact that these guys have been working together for a while, and they've actually done pretty well in CRL. So personally, I put stock in them.
I'll go with the Blues as well to make it easy.
Don't let me sway
No,
you.
we'll do
Like if
joint picks.
if you feel like you're passionate about it, argue.
No, but I'm bored, like the team. Just whatever, man. So if you want to pick against them, pick against them. I'll go with the Blues. Hey, listen, it's their team name. They're bored.
So we're gonna go with the Blues.
I'm not actually bored. All right, it was just trying to make a joke on the name. God, man.
The next matchup is Nefarious versus Beppis. And Nefarious, that's Adam, Buddy, Hockey. Beppis is going to be Eclipse, Snow, and Drippino. Beppis is a good squad, but Nefarious is just better.
Right, and I'm almost tempted to go with Beppis for the name alone, but yeah, Adam, Buddy, and Hockey I think are a team that legitimately could take the entire thing. So
yeah.
No, I'm not picking against that ever.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I definitely think that they could take the whole thing. So Nefarious is who we're going to pick here. And then the final matchup of round one is going to be Dream versus Lights Out. So Dream consists of JD, Gengar, and Daunt versus Lights Out consisting of Kevpert, Diddy, and Coco Ice 44. This is a little bit of a harder one. Personally, I want to go for the Feels pick in Lights Out.
I was going to say the same thing. Yep.
But I also feel like Dream is a good squad. Gengar is actually pretty cracked.
Yeah, but I just want to see Kevpert win. So
I want to see Kevpert do well.
So we're gonna pick with Kevpert, right?
Yeah,
go with our
Kevpert.
heart, not our mind.
I'll go with my heart on this one. This is the Feels pick.
All right. I like it.
So we're gonna go with Lights Out there for that final matchup there in round one. We gotta get Kevpert back on the show again. He was such a good guest back when we had him.
Yeah, Kevpert's a homie.
All right, and then the quarterfinal matchup up at the top, that is going to be based on our picks, Square One versus Zookeepers. So again, Square One, that's Zanil, Karma Hack. Zookeepers is Tool, Bambi, and J-Bot.
Yeah, and it would be a heartbreaker because I want both of these teams to win, and only one can.
Yeah, and it's single elimination too. So if you lose, like when you lose, you're done. Like that's it.
Yep. Yeah. Wow. I really wouldn't want to pick in this spot because I truly am a big fan of both squads.
Mm-hmm.
I would probably actually give it to the. I don't know. It really is like 50-50, both in terms of who I want to win and who I actually think is going to win. It is that tight.
Yeah. So okay, so let's go that way then. Who do you think is going to win?
I think Square One is going to win, but my heart wants the Zookeepers to win.
See, I think I have a feeling Square One's going to win, and I kind of want them to win. Just because I would love to see Karma have a second stab at, being with an org again and everything. But at the same time, I also recognize that Zookeepers, they've never really had a chance with an org. So I also would really like to see them kind of have their opportunity.
Yeah,
to,
I don't really like
picking
against either team. I would very happily go either way. I'm officially undecided here because I like both and I want to see them both win.
All right.
Even though it can't happen.
Coin flip it?
Sure.
All right. Square One is heads and Zookeepers is tails because, Zoos have
Reasons.
animals and tails. Tails! So we're going to call Zookeepers to win there and go into the final four. So Zookeepers is our first prediction there. Again, guys, you're getting top-tier analysts right here. You know, Team Envy doesn't pay us, you know, the big bucks to, you know.
Yeah, they don't pay us for what we think about the game. They
Yeah,
just want us
yeah.
to talk about it.
They want us.
The less you think about it, the better.
Sometimes that is the truth.
Yeah, but really, though.
And then the next matchup, based on what we picked, Team.exe versus Frequency. Yeah, we chose Frequency. Personally, I stick with Frequency here. I think that, you know, Flitz, Shia, and Kiri, I think that they are definitely stronger over Knight, Monster, and Stealth.
Yep, and I'm fully in agreement with that.
So our second joining the Final Four, we believe, is going to be Frequency. I think, personally, I believe Frequency probably has the easiest path to Final Four out of all of these squads.
Yep, well, maybe... No, actually, you're right. I think so. Yeah. I was going to say maybe between Match E and Match F. But the problem with that group is I don't really have, like...
Yeah, but
a
Match
standout roster.
E and F, though, I mean, Vibrance, Board, and the Blues are all strong rosters.
Yeah, but everyone has to be pretty decent to get to this point. I don't know.
But like in terms of like notoriety and like results and stuff that you've seen, like Vibrance, Board, the Blues all kind of have that behind them to an extent. Whereas like really who in the CD matchups has that outside of Frequency?
Yeah, that's...
Like you got one team of notoriety and then like three kind of nobodies, honestly, and then you got E and F where there's three of the four all have something going for them.
True. I just think because... You know what? Never mind. It doesn't make sense. I agree with your point. We're picking Frequency. Let's move on.
You don't want to try and follow
the gears started churning, and I realized they were going nowhere fast. And I was like, you know what? It's easier to just... sometimes like you have like a thought, and then... Well, it happens when you're doing color casting, too. Like
True.
Sometimes you'll think of something to say, and then you start to say it, and then you're thinking about it as you're saying it, which, again, is a bad idea. And you're like, wait, this is dumb. And so then you just try to exit as fast as you can. That's what happened right there.
Play by play. Take over again.
Yeah, basically.
So currently we're predicting Zookeepers and Frequency to make it to the Final Four. Our next matchup, based on our predictions, Vibrance versus the Blues. So Vibrance, again, that roster is Astro, Fefe, and Oath. And the Blues is Crow, Shiny Wings, Cryptic, and Cam.
Yeah, and this is where I think it's difficult, because I think same issue where we found with the first matchup in the quarterfinals, where very, very tight.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can go either way. I might even give it to the Blues just because of how much they play together and how much they've been playing overall.
Yeah.
I think that maybe gives them a slight upper hand, but who knows, really.
Yeah.
I think Vibrance could also very easily take it.
Well, and that's the thing, too, is I wish that I was still following the bubble scene more closely so that I knew, you know, what is it like whenever these guys match up in other events to kind of have an idea. And I don't know if I remember anything from back when we did events. I think Astro always ended up beating out Crow, Shiny Wings, but I don't remember. I'm with you, though. I want to give it to the Blues just because, again, there's that consistency of the team. They've been doing CRL. They've already been doing a lot of official matches together anyway. Or not CRL, but the CCA Summer Series. It's basically Summer CRL anyway. So personally, I feel like I definitely wouldn't be surprised if Vibrance comes out on top, but I want to give it to the Blues.
I feel pretty much the exact same way. Yeah, it's really close there, but I'll give it a slight edge to the Blues.
So with that, we have Zookeepers, Frequency, and the Blues as your current teams joining the top 4. And then our last matchup is going to be Nefarious versus Lights Out. I love Kefpert. I think Nefarious takes this.
Yeah,
No question.
I think Nefarious might be the best roster on paper, at least, in this. I think it would be silly to pick against them. I will also go Nefarious.
I mean, honestly, I'm expecting Nefarious to be the team that comes out on top.
Yeah. Again, I think on paper, right, when you put all of these teams, through the meat grinder, so to speak, I think Nefarious probably comes out on top most of the time. Yeah, just really, really strong. I've watched Adam and Hockey in particular, also Buddy as well, but not as much. But yeah, Adam and Hockey are both really, 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 really good at the game.
Yeah.
And
well, and Hockey actually used to be on Lights Out too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I know. Well, they
Back
split
in the day.
for a bit.
Yeah, like way back when he was still kind of newer into it, to the bubble scene and stuff.
Right. Yeah, they did team together and then they split apart from a while. Now they're back together.
One consistent thing about Lights Out is Kepert.
Yeah, it's his baby.
So the top teams that we here on Around the Scene are predicting will be in the Final Four are going to be Zookeepers, Frequency, the Blues, and Nefarious. Among those 4 squads, I think Nefarious takes it. I think they are the team that wins the whole thing.
Yep, I think the Zookeepers would give them a
I think that would be I think that would be the grand final matchup is between those two, but I don't feel like anybody takes down Nefarious.
Yeah, but don't cast or curse them, Ryan.
True.
Again, on paper, I think that probably is the team expected to win this. Yeah.
Yeah. So, guys, let us know what you think. We are starting to do posts over on Reddit, too, so you can comment under whenever Perino posts that. And, also be sure to mention us on Twitter. That's going to be at PWR_leagues. And you can, share your predictions with us as well on what you think. But here on Around the Scene, we predict the top 4, again, are going to be Zookeepers, Frequency, the Blues, and Nefarious. I don't think that they're doing any more past this. I don't think they're doing any more this weekend. I think the Final Four happened later on since they're best of sets. So we'll find out later on when those matchups are and who. If I assume it's going to keep following like a normal bracket look, like whoever wins I and J go against each other, K and L go against each other. So I assume that's the path, but I have no clue.
We will have to wait and see on that one.
Yeah. So with that concludes our news items there. Again, is a bit more visual than normal, and we apologize for that. But definitely fun. I like doing predictions with you.
Yeah, it's also nice to sometimes get away from just exclusively doing the RLCS stuff too, especially in the off season. It's not we don't know too much about the upcoming RLCS season yet. Now, our next segment, we will talk about some moves, especially in North America, that have already happened and are expected to happen that will shake up the scene a bit. But it's nice, I think, to sometimes step out of that place.
Yeah, I'm totally with you on that. I 100% agree. It's nice to always check out all the other events going on. Like, I wish that we could get more DreamHack stuff too, because I always love DreamHacks. Those are always fun. But eventually we'll get those things back, hopefully, in 2022. But anyways, we are done with the news. Now we're going to move on to the roster shuffle. So first up, one of the 2 biggest news items, I would say, for this is the first one. G2 officially signed Drees to a starting position. Woohoo! Drees!
Yes, we give claps for Drees.
I fully expected this, and I really thought that G2 would be doing themselves a disservice if they went a different direction. I feel like they, as a whole, improved so much when they brought him on, and it just felt like that would be a waste to kind of ditch the level of potential that you have in keeping him. So super, super happy that they're keeping him. I know that like a first killer could, boost the squad and everything, but I feel like Dries just has so much to give. And again, he's still so like new to this pro level, and he already has just been phenomenal that if you're G2, you owe him a chance, I would say, especially after all the digging he did to bring them into a top 6 position for the finals.
Yeah, no question. I think he absolutely earned it, and that's the big thing to me is, you have to give respect to someone who really went out and took their chance and earned it, right? To me, that's a big thing. When you have your shot, you have to take it. That's just anything in life, Shooters shoot. Dries played really, really well in the spring. Absolutely earned it. I'm so glad that G2 stuck with it. I think they could have gone a different direction. I think that would have been okay. I don't feel as though it had to be Dries, but there's no question in my mind that Dries earned it. So for that, I'm very happy for him and for G2.
Happy to see that the person who, put in all this work and, again, like you said, when you're given your shot and you actually like live up to the standards that are foisted upon you, like Dries did, I feel like you owe it to them. And I don't typically feel that way about things, but Dries just put in so much work for those guys that super happy for him. Been watching him since he was in the bubble scene, way back when we were doing our tournaments. And just the way that he played in some of our events, I was always just like, this guy's going to be something someday. So super happy to see him finally, officially make it. Really excited to see how that pans out for them moving forward. I think that this is going to be a much more deadly roster than we saw in RLCSX. I think Season 11, G2 is going to come in and actually be a contender now.
Yeah, they will certainly push the envelope, of the top 3, quote unquote, with Envy. Yep. I almost said FaZed. Envy, NRG, and Space Station. Yeah, that's really, really good. I think I had FaZed on my mind for a reason, Ryan.
Oh yes, I think you did as well, because Chicago accidentally leaked FaZe's roster move. The person replacing Gyro is going to be First Killer. They have not officially announced it, but Chicago definitely let the beans spill on one of his broadcasts. So he went and deleted the VODs, but apparently Chicago on his broadcast when he was doing a tier list, he put AJ lower, I think. It was Illusion or AJ that he put lower. And he specifically said, I'm going to say it was Illusion they put lower. He put Illusion lower, and he said, AJ and First Killer are going to make so much fun of him because I put him lower. And he quickly was like, oh no, and shut off the stream, deleted the VODs, deleted all clips. So yeah, First Killer is going to FaZe.
Yeah, and that's the thing. These guys know because... Well, for starters, G2 were one of the teams that were rumored to be trying out First Killer. So Chicago's going to be one of the people who has a really strong idea of where this young man's headed. Great spot for FaZe. You pick up one of the most individually talented players, if not the most individually talented player in North America, to pair that along with AJ and have Illusion filling in the gaps where needed. Again, really, really good team. I think FaZe as an organization, they want to be on top, right? I know like their org as a whole, it's a lot of like content and it's a certain brand, if you will. But at the end of the day, in order to have that brand, you have to win first, and I think that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to win. They can absolutely afford to bring First Killer in and give him that spot. So yeah, this is how the dominoes fall, right? You get okay, so Dries goes on G2. Okay, well then where's First Killer going? Well, that pretty much only leaves FaZe then for First Killer. So it's once the first domino falls, the rest sort of come into play. And man, we're gonna have a really, really interesting North America next season.
Yeah, I think it's going to be extremely interesting. I think that you go from having sort of a top 3 to closer to a top 5, honestly. I think it's going to be a lot crazier in North America, honestly, when it comes to the top teams. And, that further competition is really good for everybody, honestly. But moving on to the next one, Alpine Esports. This isn't like one that is necessarily a roster move so much as a team announcement, but I thought it was super interesting and definitely worth noting. Alpine Esports has announced that they are going to add on a new roster called Alpine White, which is going to be an all-female roster that Alpine Esports is investing their time into. So the ladies that they picked up are going to be the Yi RL, Pads RL, Jazzy 27, and Freya Hayes, who I know is going to be their sub and manager. So super exciting to see, an organization investing more into, women players and trying to, get more of them up to the top. Going to be interesting to see how the team plays in these upcoming, in this upcoming RLCS season, but definitely cool, I would say.
Yeah, no question. So the reason we're actually recording on a Wednesday instead of a Tuesday is that I was actually casting for the WCBC. Yep. That's the Women's Carball Championship. Yesterday, Tuesday. And I was a little disappointed because we didn't... The way that they did their event, they're doing weekly events over the summer, the WCBC.
Yep.
And so this was like a mix-up event where they basically just sort of took everyone and had them go in random teams. Mm-hmm. I really wanted to see this Alpine Esports roster play as a whole. Now, I'll tell you from what I saw yesterday. So all 3 players there, Yi, Pads, and Jazzy, all played yesterday, and they all did really well individually. So I'd like to see them actually play together. I know they have in the past, and they are really good. And it's really, really important, I think, that organizations, invest into these kinds of endeavors. We see it in esports a lot, but I like that, an overall trend, is that we see esports team, signing these ladies rosters. It just it helps elevate that that segment of the game's population. Gives these young ladies a chance to really get in an environment where they can be at their best. Mm-hmm. And it's really, really cool to see. Not just in Rocket League. We've seen a few teams, KCP being a big one, Alpine now as well. But then in Valorant, it's also really big too. I know that there are some, ladies Valorant teams that have been signed by big orgs. So yeah, I think it's really, really great overall.
Yeah, super exciting, and good on Alpine for kind of making that jump. And we'll be keeping an eye on these ladies and see how they do. But the last bit we have here on the roster shuffle, Perino, is not so much, moves that are for sure happening as they are the expected final rosters for the top teams next season. So Shift RL, they released this graphic for both EU and North America, and it's the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, the top 10 teams from Season X for both Europe and North America, and their predicted final layouts of the landscape. So far, everything they have put here is correct. So I'll go ahead and pop this up. So we'll look at Europe first. So BDS, and Renault Vitality, they're staying the exact same. They're not changing. The ones that are in bold are the ones that are the roster is changing. So
yeah, and it's kind of hard to see. It's the first thing I noticed.
It's a little tough to tell. I was kind of like, I think you could have done a little better, like done underline or something that's more like notable. But I guess I wanted to kind of keep it clean. But anyway, so BDS, Renault Vitality, they stay the same. Guild picks up Bluey. Has this one been confirmed yet? For some reason, I feel like I've seen this one.
I don't remember. Maybe.
Interesting
but
pickup,
I've also seen it. Yeah. Definitely
a good pickup, I would say. And then this was, oh my gosh, Giants Gaming.
Yes.
This was an announcement that we talked about last week, so not surprising there. Carmine Corp, that's not too surprising. Astral, I believe, has not been announced yet, but that seems pretty accurate, I would say.
Yeah, I think most of these have actually already been announced going down the list.
Have they? Have Chaussette and Astral have been announced formally?
Maybe not. I don't know.
I think the only ones that haven't officially been announced at this point are Bluey, Astral, Chaussette, and Saiku. Because Mitten, Arju, and Cash, this was just announced earlier. So this one's a go. Scrub Killer, that was a go. This is just a pickup. This is a pickup. So those are already confirmed. No changes. So I think it's just 1, 2, 3, 4 that are not yet confirmed.
Yeah, and these are if you've been paying attention to the rumors and everything, we don't always discuss rumors on the show because it can't be perfect every time. But this list for EU, if you've been paying attention to the rumors, seems solid. Again,
well, Shift
a
has
couple
had
of them
a
have
pretty
been confirmed,
decent track record,
but Shift is, generally speaking, very, very good. So
definitely interesting to see how EU pans out. The biggest notable thing that I realized was these are the top 10 teams from last season, Perino. Violent Panda's not joining one of these teams.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering what team he's going to.
Hard to say until we hear something from him, right?
Yeah. But that was like the most interesting piece that I noticed on this. But all in all, good pickups, I would say, for several of these teams. Chaussette, Astral, Bluey, solid players. Can't go wrong.
Yeah. Well, it's EU. You just take players and you throw them against the wall and see what happens.
See what sticks.
Yep.
Now we're going to move on over to their North America expected rosters. Again, it's top 10 from last season. So, the reason you don't see Alpine is because they didn't make top 10, for instance. So, Energy, Envy, Space Station, all staying the same. G2 essentially staying the exact same. The biggest note that I saw was essentially Rogue and FaZe Clan were trading.
Yes. So that is the expectation that Gyro and First Killer will effectively be swapping with their teams. Definitely, I think better for FaZe.
Yeah.
Rogue losing their best player.
Yeah.
But Gyro is still really, really good, and I think he can offer something to that team.
Yeah. I don't see them.
It's just going to be really hard to
being
fill
a
in
top
First Killer.
6 team, though.
I don't think so, especially with how much better G2 and FaZe respectively have gotten, because then you're going to have to beat out some of the rest of these teams on this list as well, and it's not going to be easy. I'm looking at Shopify, who are staying the same, rapid memory beast mode. Like, they'll be pushing the envelope as well.
Well, and so that's the thing that I'm noticing is that America really didn't do any roster moves, honestly. I mean, we're doing a trade here, so it's not like we're introducing anybody new. But really, the top 7 essentially are basically the same. Like, nobody who was in the top 7 is really leaving the top 7. So that's interesting in and of itself. The other thing, too, is Ghost essentially dropped their roster. Sonics drop Shock and Roll Diz, but Ghost pick them up, and they add Lion Blaze to the roster. If that happens, I think Ghost look a lot better.
Yeah, and so this was the one in North America that really stood out to me when I first saw this list. A little bit surprising because I thought that the Sonics would stick with Shock in particular, who I thought overall played really well most of Season X. I don't see the logic in letting him go. On the flip side, for Ghost, great. Bring him in. Shock rolled his Lion Blaze. Like, that's a team that can be really, really good. Now, pushing for top 6, I don't know. But that's a team that should consistently, get some results, and find an upset here or there. They should stay within
top 10, for sure.
Yeah, oh, no question. Yeah, I think that team's actually really good. So, if that happens, again, I know we don't always like to talk about rumors because it's not confirmed. We don't really know. But if that happens, I'd be really excited to see that team play.
Yeah, I would definitely be excited to see those guys come together. Lion Blaze just such a solid player, and joining those guys, that's a pretty good move. The next one, this one surprised me the most, is that version 1 are doing no changes. That surprises me because I guess, like, yeah, they did improve over the last 2 splits, but I don't know. I was a little surprised that they stayed the same.
The problem is, who do you get if you're version 1?
I feel like they had opportunities to get other people. I mean, like, they had opportunities where they could have tried to pick up a Gyro. They could have tried to pick up a Lion Blaze. They could have tried to pick up Percy. Like, there's good players out there. I'm just surprised that they didn't try to go pick them up. Or maybe they just didn't think any of them were really enough of a change over Calm. Because I feel like if you were going to replace someone, it would be Calm.
I guess, but I'm a fan of teams sticking together and actually trying to improve, you know. So, and I think they have shown that they can play at a really high level. So,
true.
I'm actually really okay with V1 sticking together. I think that's fine.
Yeah, I think it's good. I was a little surprised, you know, because some teams are very knee jerk in their reactions to results, and I wasn't entirely sure if version 1 would be like that or not. So. Definitely cool to see that they're staying together. Just surprising. And then the last 2 teams, Xset, they pick up Percy. That is for sure confirmed. That has happened. And then the last one is Sonics pick up Andy and ZPS to join T. Carell, their lone player that they are keeping from Season 10. Andy and ZPS's additions, not bad. I feel like this is still a downgrade for them, though.
Yeah, but the problem with the Sonics, it's sort of the same issue. Okay, so we talk about it with V1. Like, who do you get? You know?
Well, I just feel like it's a
if
downgrade.
you let go of Shock and Roll Diz, right? Who do you get though?
Well, it's like, why would you let go of Shock and Roll Diz? You know? I guess maybe Ghost
because
tried
they
to
weren't
buy
happy
him out.
finishing 10th. you know?
Yeah, but the thing is like maybe Shock and Roll Diz got bought out by Ghost or something too.
It's hard to really say.
Yep.
And I think this is kind of the problem in North America at the moment, though, is that we don't have an influx of new talent such that it really shakes up the rest of the scene. Right?
Yeah, by removing
like Drees is really
series.
Drees is only the new player, if you want to call him that, because he turned age eligible 15.
Yeah.
But we haven't really seen like that new wave of talent come through. To really, you know, shake up the rosters and move people around.
Yeah, and I think that was the one good thing that the Rival Series brought to the table in comparison to this new format, is that it forced those players into the higher level, and you really had to adapt and overcome. Whereas here, it's kind of like, you know, you keep hitting your head against the wall, and you hope that one day you break through it. But there are several rosters that, you know, they'll keep doing it, and they may never break through.
Yeah, and that's sort of the cycle you get stuck in. You know, it's okay. We let player X go and bring in player Y, but is it that much of an upgrade? You know, is it worth trying to stick it out and you know, work it? It's hard to really say. But yeah, I think the Ghost one would be really interesting if it shakes out that way.
Yeah,
I like that move.
I think
that's kind of what we expect.
Ghost and Rogue, I think, are going to be 2 that I'm interested to see how they perform. Just because I wonder how Rogue handle that change. Because the one thing that just sticks out to me and why them losing First Killer is such a big deal is during one of the splits, they were doing like the player head-to-heads. I think it may have been the finals. They were doing like the player head-to-heads where it's like the players talk to each other and stuff, essentially. And I think it was Turo who he basically was like, we have First Killer. Like, we're going to win because we have First Killer. Like, that was his reasoning. And I was kind of like, bro, it's not one player. It's a team. Like, what do you mean? Like, yeah, he's good, but he shouldn't be your reason why you think you're going to win. Like, yikes. Like, you should have confidence in yourself as a team, not just feel like he's going to carry you to victory. And so I think by them losing him, that's a big blow.
Yeah, well, as we've said, First Killer is one of, if not the best individual player in North America. So
yeah, no doubt he's earned.
You're not going to be
it, but still,
right. It's not like it's not like you're gonna be able to bring in anyone that you're immediately like, oh, like they'll be fine, unless that person was Justin. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah.
it's just it's not really feasible.
Yeah. But that is going to do it there for the roster shuffle. And I think that we are out of time, my man. We have gone on for over an hour now. But you got anything else you want to add before we close out today's show?
I am amazed that we managed to swing this to an hour. I say it every time.
Why are you surprised at this point?
I don't. That's the thing, right? Is like I look at the show notes and it's like, oh, there's not really too much going on, and then an hour later, I'm like, wait, we're ending the show.
Yeah.
So
sometimes,
I don't know how we do it.
Sometimes our show notes feel a little lean, but we manage to, we get on tangents though, and we find stuff that we're enjoying talking about though, and it just kind of pans out.
But that's what
that
makes
way.
it fun.
Oh yeah, for sure. But yeah. Another show in the books here for us over at Around the Scene. Again, you can follow us at PWR_leagues over there on Twitter. You can follow me at PWR_Ryan. You can follow him at Perino TV. I didn't add the PWR this time. You can follow us over there on Twitter. And then if you guys ever want to be a part of the show, be sure to mention us again at PWR_leagues. There on Twitter. You can also comment on our Reddit posts that we are starting to make each week. We're dropping the links there on the Rocket League Esports subreddit with everything as well. So if you ever have questions, topics you want us to try and discuss, feel free to respond on that, and we will consider adding those into our show notes. But other than that, that's going to do it here for us. Thank you so much for joining us here tonight. Once again, be sure to follow us on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, or any of the various podcast services you may be listening to us on. We do apologize again that this was probably a bit more of a visual episode. Hopefully, if you're listening to this, you felt you could follow along clearly. That's a piece of feedback that we would love to hear from you on if you are a podcast listener and you, feel like that's something we would love to get feedback on how you guys felt this went, just because it has been a while since we've done it this way, where it feels like it's very visual, but we have to still cater to that audio side, and we want to cater to the audio side because we know that there are a lot of guys who listen over there out of convenience and just how much easier it is to go with podcast stuff. So
I personally, I love listening on Spotify. It is kind of weird. But I actually do really enjoy listening to our show afterwards, and I am traveling tomorrow on the road.
It's good critique. You're able to then give us a lot of feedback that I wouldn't know otherwise.
And I think listening to audio, you pick up on a lot of things that you normally wouldn't watching a video.
True.
And I like listening in the car as well, so you can really hear everything. Definitely not as much now, but earlier on when we very first started, it was one of the easiest way I found to improve, our production value was just listening and, really focusing on what we're saying and how we're expressing ourselves and making sure that it's still interesting. Ultimately, at the end of the day, Ryan and I do this because we love doing it, and we love just having fun with it, and that it's an interesting show. So,
Yeah. It's a good time all around. But, yeah, feel free to leave feedback for us on that. We'd love to hear your thoughts on all that stuff, and it helps us to improve the show, make it better, all that good stuff. But other than that, this has been Around the Scene presented to you by Playing with Rockets. I'm Ryan, that's Perino, and it has been our pleasure to have you with us here today. Take care, enjoy the rest of your day, and we will see you guys next time. Peace out.